General Manager Adam Peters continues to cook like he did the previous offseason, adding key acquisitions through the free agent and trade market. So today we're going to look at all of the free agent and trade acquisitions and then take a look at all the draft picks for the upcoming NFL draft for the Washington Commanders. So let's get into it, everybody. First things first, let's take a look at all the free agent and trade acquisitions from this offseason. Because like I said, the Washington Commanders were very, very active, man. So we're gonna look at each move. I'm gonna give kind of a quick spill about it, and then my grade for most of the relevant moves, man. So first things first, let's look at tight end John Bates. They re-signed him to a 3-year extension, and like I said, obviously he's not the biggest pass catcher, but you need blocking. And with Zach Ertz, with Ben Sinnott, we got those tight ends who are gonna go out there, run patterns and catch balls, man. I think with John Bates, you need a guy out there who's gonna be able to block for sweeps for Brian Robinson, for Austin Eckler. So John Bates, really good blocker. You know, when you look at the tight end position, you need catchers, but you also need blockers. So I think it was a real good move, man. Kept this tight end room together, and I think that this is going to be a really, really under the radar and very intriguing tight end room. All right, they also re-signed linebacker Nick Bellore to a 2-year deal. Is a depth piece, so I'm not going to look too much into it. They re-signed wide receiver Noah Brown to a 1-year deal worth up to $4.5 million. And Noah Brown had a really good year last year. Now, right now, we don't know where they're going to play him. Is it going to be opposite of Scary Terry? Are they going to play Deebo in the slot? We're going to get a clearer picture going forward, especially when we get into training camp. What place not only does Noah Brown have, is he going to be a second or fourth receiver? But where Deebo's going to play and whether they add another receiver in the draft, because you could probably argue they need to add another receiver into this wide receiver group. But again, Noah Brown, pretty good deal because he played solid football last year. So I didn't grade anything, so I'm just going to give you my spill without the grade. So they also re-signed defensive lineman Sheldon Day. Is definitely a depth piece. Also re-signed offensive lineman Michael Dieter, depth piece. They re-signed tight end Zach Ertz, so 1 year, $6.25 million deal, which is worth up to $9.5 million with incentives. So Zach Ertz, like I said, this is a good deal because it's 1 year. He played pretty good this previous year. Kind of started slow, but picked it up, especially in the playoffs. So if he has a good year, you definitely get your money's worth. If he doesn't, you're not committed to him long term. So good deal, in my opinion. They also re-signed defensive end Clelin Ferrell, good depth piece, who he is a player who could play on the opposite end of Doris Armstrong. So we'll see if they add another guy on the bookends, because like I said, did we get our long-term option at the bookend opposite of Dorrance Armstrong? I don't believe so. I think that a lot of the moves on the D-line are depth pieces outside of Kinlaw, who we're going to talk about in a minute. But not a bad deal from a depth perspective, but I don't know if he's the long-term answer on the other end of Dorrance Armstrong. They also re-signed Eddie Goldman to a 1-year deal. They didn't resign? He signed him as a free agent to a 1-year deal. So again, another depth piece for the D line. They re-signed kicker Zane Gonzalez to a 1-year, $1.17 million deal. Now, I definitely expect long term they're going to bring somebody in, especially if he struggles early on, to compete with him. And I think the long term we need a kicker with experience, kind of a headliner. If you have to go out there and spend a little money, do so, because kicking is. You need a solid kicker in the playoffs. So nothing against Zane Gonzalez, but I think eventually you need to go out there and get that headliner, go out there and get that veteran kickers that you know is going to hit those key important kicks in clutch, man. They signed safety Wilt Harris, which I think is a really good deal, to a 2-year, $8 million deal with a max of $10 million. And like I said, he is taking over for Jeremy Chan. So he's not a bad safety. Now, does that stop you from adding to safety? Maybe not. But, like I said, is a 2-year deal, not a bad deal. We know that Adam Peters, especially in the free agent market, does a lot of 1-year, at most 2-year deals. You may see a couple 3 out there, but usually he's giving out 1 to 2-year deals. Now, again, looking at Nick Delore, 2-year deal, and then looking at Will Harris, 2-year deal. So is he a long-term option? You probably long-term wise want to go out there and get the guy. But like I said, look at it, not a bad move to replace Jeremy Chan. They signed offensive lineman Nate Herbig to a 1-year deal. They also re-signed the defensive lineman Jalen Holmes to a 1-year deal. They re-signed cornerback Noah Bagani. I think that's how he says it. To a 1-year deal. So he was back and forth at cornerback, and obviously he's not going to be a starter. You're looking to add somebody on the other side of Lattimore. We do have Samuel, but I think Mike Samuel, can he play on the outside? Yes, but I think the best spot for him is slot corner. So we can have Marshawn Lattimore. I think you definitely go in the draft and try to find a cornerback. Now, if they don't find a cornerback in the draft, you could probably see Samuel move to the outside and oh man, I'm having a hard time with the name, man. But you guys know what I'm talking about. So he was up and down, but he showed moments. So, but talking about cornerback, they also signed Jonathan Jones to a 1-year deal. Now we're getting into the bigger deals to a certain degree. Now they did sign Javon Kinlaw, who has links to Adam Peters in San Francisco, to a 3-year, $45 million deal with $30 million guaranteed. Now, this is again kind of like Deebo Samuel, where it is a high risk but a high reward type of deal, right? Will he start beside Deron Payne? Will he be depth behind Johnny Newton? I think when you look at the price tag, you can see either way he could be depth, but you probably look at a guy who might be a starter. So, like I said, that's another position group, kind of like wide receiver, where you're not going to get a clear depiction of where he's going to play, because you can argue that Johnny Newton might have the edge, and due to experience and with his ties to Adam Peters, you could argue that he has the edge. So right now, and like I said, at the end, I'm gonna pull up the depth chart to kind of look at both of those situations as far as Deebo Samuel and Kinlaw and what ESPN is telling us where these slot. So, but we're going to move on for right now. Now, they did add their backup quarterback in Marcus Mariota to a 1-year, $8 million deal. And I think that's a good move. He played well here in DC. While he can definitely step in an event of injury and be a stopgap at quarterback. So like I said, I think it's a good move because he did prove his worth last year. They signed outside linebacker Jacob Martin to a 1-year deal worth up to $3 million. They also re-signed Jeremy McNichols to a 1-year deal. Re-signed KJ Osborne to a 1-year deal. And McNichols, good depth piece of running back. He did well in moments. He did well in special teams. KJ Osborne, another depth guy at receiver. And then Chris Rodriguez, he was tendered a contract. So Chris Rodriguez, like I said, you saw moments where you saw that potential. I wouldn't be mad if they try to give him some more touches, but he's an intriguing young running back. Now, is he the future? Right now there's been rumors that they want to find a number 1 running back, and there's a lot of pressure on Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler. Obviously, Brian Robinson hasn't hit 1,000 yards yet, and Austin Eckler he's older and has dealt with injury issues. So, but I think that looking at Chris Rodriguez, he's a guy who has shown that he can play. Is he the long-term answer? No, not right now. But could he emerge as one? Maybe. All right, getting into the first trade. Wide receiver Deebo Samuel from the San Francisco 49ers for a 5th-round pick. And to me, this is an A pick. A+, I'm hesitant to, because people call Deebo Samuel injury-prone, but if you look at the numbers, he's not injury-prone. He's just the injuries, usually he misses around on average 2 games a year. And so it's not that he's injury prone, it's that his injuries really take a toll on his offensive productivity. You've seen a heck of a dip in his in his production the last 3 years. And a lot of that has to do with dealing with injuries, man, playing through injuries. And so I'm not going to say he's injury prone, because I do believe he's played through a lot of injuries, but that's what I'm saying. Maybe they add another receiver, put him in a slot, because we still got Luke McCaffrey, so he's another guy who could be the 4th receiver. But Deebo Samuel is one of those guys where he can play the inside, he can play the outside. He can be a running back. He can get active in screens. There's so many ways you can use him. So I'm very, very optimistic with how Cliff Kingsbury can utilize Deebo Samuel. You only gave up a 5th-round pick, so you didn't give up the farm. And look at it, it's an expiring contract. So if he doesn't pan out, you're not handcuffed to him long term. He can take a walk. And if he plays at the all-pro level that we expect from him, then you could probably re-sign him, because they're probably going to look to re-sign Scary Terry, and they should, because Terry McLaurin has been with the team every name they've had, and he's gone through so many different coordinators and so many different quarterbacks. So if you could pay money to both of these guys, why not do so? But if you have to sign just one, you're probably looking at Scary Terry. So like I said, Deebo Samuel, he could definitely push those over the hump and really make us a real threat for a Super Bowl berth, because like I said, injury concerns, yes, but he can definitely play at a high level when he's healthy. So like I said, it's one of those moves where it's a risky move, but it's a high reward move also. And we only gave up a 5th-round pick. All right, guys, let's get through this thing because we're almost done. All right, so they also re-signed offensive tackle Trent Scott to a 1-year deal. Re-signed cornerback Kevon Seymour to a 1-year deal. Now the next trade, and this is the headline trade. They traded for left tackle Laramie Tunzel and a fourth round pick from the Houston Texans for a 2025 third and seventh round picks and a 2026 second and fourth round picks. Now, did we give up a lot of draft capital? Yes. Did we give up the amount of draft capital that Houston gave up when they acquired him from the Miami Dolphins? No. They gave up first rounders. So we were able to find the long-term blindside protector for for our franchise quarterback, Jaden Daniels. So, like I said, we needed to bolster our offensive line. And Brandon Coleman, he had his moments, but I think we all knew that we needed to go out there and find that franchise left tackle. We haven't had one since Trent Williams. And while Leno did play well, can you exactly call him the franchise left tackle? Yes and no. But, it's officially being that key piece on the blind side. Trent Williams was the last guy to really call that franchise left tackle. So we have one now. So like I said, what do I grade it? I'm gonna give it an A+ because you gave up draft capital, but you acquired a very important piece, which is left tackle. You gotta protect the blind side for Jaden Daniels because he is the future. He is a franchise quarterback. You have to protect him. So Brandon Coleman, we'll see if he changes the guard, if they put him in the right tackle. Like I said, they were looking at Moses Morgan at one point. So, Brandon Coleman, I wouldn't be mad if they pushed him to right tackle. Obviously, Cosme's out for the year at right guard. So we'll see. But it was a really good move because we definitely needed to bolster the offensive line, and we needed that franchise left tackle. All right, almost done, everybody. All right, so they also re-signed veteran linebacker and future Hall of Fame linebacker Bobby Wagner to a 1-year, $9.5 million deal with $8 million guaranteed. Good move. Not a long-term move, but Bobby Wagner, future Hall of Famer, great voice in the locker room, great relationship with Jaden Daniels, and a guy where he was productive. He led the team in tackles. So you got production out of him last year. So good move in my opinion. All right, so to round this thing out, they re-signed punted Tressway to a 1-year deal. Tressway has been one of the best pieces of this team for a long time, so you keep him around, man. And they also signed defensive end Dietrich Wise to a 1-year deal that is worth up to $5 million. So that is all the moves made through free agency and the trade market this offseason so far. Could it be further moves? Absolutely. But that is up to this point, those are the moves made by the Washington Commanders. So like I said, General Manager Adam Peters, man, did a great job, second year in a row, doing a great job building this team. So, and like I said, a few of them risky, but I mean, 1-year deals, a couple of 2-year deals. So, they're good value moves in the short term. And obviously he's made it known that he's going to build through the draft and supplement through free agency. Talk about the draft. Let's take a look at the draft picks real quick. So obviously we did give up some draft capital through the trade market in the offseason, but this is currently what we have in the 2025 NFL draft. Our first round pick is the number 29th overall. So practically a second round pick, but we can still grab a piece that could be a starter or a high-end backup for this team at number 29 overall. I mean, the first round pick, you're looking at a starter. Now, where do you add? To me, you're looking at cornerback. You're probably looking at wide receiver. You maybe a running back. You could further bolster your offensive line. I think we're in a good situation. Obviously, Dorrance Armstrong, you have him on one bookend. And like I said, I'm going to pull up the depth chart as far as receiver and defensive line and what they got and see where we can add some talent. So looking at the defensive line, they have Dietrich Wise on the other side of Dorrance Armstrong. So if you could get another bookend, a defensive end in this draft, I'm not against that because nothing against Dietrich Wise, but I would like to add a guy, a stud on the left defensive end on the other side of Dorrance Armstrong. So could that be that guy in the draft, especially in the number 29th pick in the first round? Absolutely. And then looking at, Deron Payne, and they have Javon Kinlaw starting in the interior defensive line with Deron Payne. So that relegates Johnny Newton to a backup role. And then it goes back to, Jonathan Allen. If you were going to pick up Kinlaw, did you really necessarily need to get rid of Jonathan Allen? What is it an upgrade? To me, is more of a lateral move, and in certain areas, a downgrade. Nothing against Kinlaw, who's a local guy. He grew up in uptown Washington, D.C., man. So like he's a guy he has local ties. But he's had an injury past. But like I said, hopefully he comes in and he can be that defensive stopper in the interior, man. But looking at Jonathan Allen, is he an upgrade? You guys get in the comment section. Do you guys believe he's an upgrade, a lateral move, or do you think we degraded trading Jonathan Allen and then signing Javon Kinlaw? All right, so in the second round, we have the number 61st pick in the second round. No third round pick, but sliding into the fourth round, number 128 from the Houston Texans. No fifth round pick, but going to the sixth round, we hold number 205. And then in the seventh round, we rounded out with the number 245th pick overall in the second round. So again, guys, we will add some talent in this draft coming up. And if you look at some of the moves made by Adam Peters, these mid rounds, man, they still count. You can still find good talent with your second and fourth round pick. Now, looking at this round 6 and 7, you're probably looking at depth, and that's okay. We need more young depth on this team, but we have the opportunity to add 3 high impact players in this draft. So, like I said, I have all the confidence in the world in Adam Peters, man. So, like I said, you guys get in the comment section and let me know, do you agree or disagree and why? All right, everybody, we're going to call it a night. We talked about a lot tonight. What was your favorite move and why? Get in the comment section and let me know, what was your best move and what was the worst move made this offseason? And what kind of players would you like to see the Commanders go after in the draft? And obviously, going forward, me and Greg are going to go over a lot of draft content. So definitely stay tuned because we're getting closer to the draft, man. Getting closer to the draft. And real quick, let's look at some data real quick with the draft. Now, as you guys know, the draft will be April 24th, is a Thursday. The first round will be beginning at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Day 2 will be rounds 2 and 3, which will be that Friday at 7 o'clock. And then rounds 4 through 7, Saturday, April 26th. And that will be beginning at noon. And it will be held in Green Bay, Wisconsin, Lambeau Field, Titletown, and Rec Complex. So, again, guys, appreciate everybody. We're going to go ahead and call it a night. But, again, definitely let us know, what was your favorite move and what was your not so favorite move this off season. All right, everybody, hail to the Commanders, and see you guys next time.